Hi, welcome to Punchline Talks, the big interview, sponsored by Infrastar IT Solutions. Today, my special guest is Glen Griffin, who just happens to be the MD of Infrastar IT Solutions. Welcome to Punchline Talks, Glen.
Hi, nice to meet everybody. And that's take 47.
These things happen, mate. I'm only my 82 show or something like that. Anyway, good to see you. Thanks ever so much for sponsoring the show, by the way. I really appreciate it. And then you've just signed up for another eight, which is fantastic. And I couldn't do the show without you, as you probably know. Anyway, let's start at the very beginning. Could you tell us all about Infrastar, please, and how many people work for you, the company, and your turnover as well?
Yeah, sure. So we're a small company, I say small. We've got about 70 people now. Um, it's been running 7 years, so we've been going 7 years. And we work in the IT sector. So work mainly in infrastructure, things you can look and see, things you can interact with some of the major companies around the world, Cisco, Dell, NVIDIA, Vast Data, various companies like that. And I love it. It's a great company to be part of and to interact with other parties around the world.
I mean, 70 staff in 7 years and a turnover like that's pretty impressive, Glenn. What's been the sort of secret to your success?
I think we do some unusual type things, and we tackle problems that our customers, need solving, and we do it in a pragmatic way. We've got a lot of experience in the company, so the average, I don't know what the average age is, but it's probably nearer me than some of the younger people within the company. And a lot of us are passionate about what we do. One of the reasons I started the company is to pass that knowledge and experience on with all the years that I've spent trying to, build my own reputation and build my own skills and knowledge. And a lot of people within the company are like-minded. So eventually we will go on to maybe retire, hopefully. And we want to see people come through with a passion like ours and, just enjoy themselves, really enjoy their careers, enjoy their lives. And that's a major part of why Infrastar exists.
So it started around 7 years ago. Did you build up some money first? Where were you beforehand?
Well, we can go back 38 years I've been working now. I joined the Air Force at 16 after having meningitis and almost dying. Didn't have any O levels. Started as a mech. Spent 14 years in the Royal Air Force, and I was probably in what I can describe as one of the best trades in the Air Force. So I worked on radar and comms on airfield, Coningsby in Lincolnshire, and went over to Bruggen in Germany. So that was 87 to 90 in Coningsby, then 90 to 93 in Bruggen. I came back from doing all the airfield type work to work at our airport Reeth in Cornwall. So that was working in the bunker, working on what they called UK UCADS, UK Air Defence Electronic Ground Environment. And that allowed us to have communications all the way up the east coast of the UK up to the Shetland Islands, and a radar picture where the forces could talk to the pilots and warn them of Cold War aircraft entering the airspace and going to intercept them with the fast jets out of Coningsby and Lucas. So that was quite interesting. I then went off to Wittering, which was Harrier Command. That was only for a few months before I went for a year's course at Locking and ended up at a place called RAF Waddington in Lincolnshire, where I had probably the best time of my life. I moved to do IT there. It wasn't a trade in the Air Force, but they took trade group 2 and trade group 3 out of trade, put them into an IT role, and the rest
Sorry,
is.
what's trade group one and trade group two? What is that?
So they're the aircraft type trade, the ones that get the aircraft off the grounds. And then trade group 3 covered everything to do with everything on the ground: telecommunications, radar, satellites, HF, UHF, VHF, Rapier, you name it, we covered it. And it was a great experience, and a lot of people that are in that trade have gone on to do great things. We had a reunion the other week. Every 2 years we do that, and I think there's around 600 people there. It was great. It was the best apprenticeship I guess anybody could ever have, and
It's fun.
I'm quite proud of it.
It's funny, isn't it? Because obviously, I was in the Air Force as well,
Yeah.
and I was in lock-in in the middle of bloody nowhere in a tent, -7 at night, 6 weeks in RAF lock-in, which happened to be my worst posting. But it was a great time in the Air Force, wasn't it? People who weren't in the forces don't really get it, what it's like.
Well, you're 19 years old. You've got a map. You haven't got a phone, you haven't got a sat nav, and you're trying to get to a better place in Germany with, people that speak it obviously all the way through that. You've got the French, the Dutch, the Germans, and you're on your own, and you've got to find your next base. So you eventually land there and spend a few years. You make new friends, make acquaintances. I mean, I went to my reunion and saw people that I haven't seen for 30 years, and it's as though we knew each other yesterday. So there's a lot of camaraderie. And a lot of that has disappeared to a point. The forces is reduced considerably. There was 105,000 in the RAF when I joined. There's only 33,000 now. And as a company, we sponsor RAF Motorsport as well. So we're heavily involved in that side of things. And yeah, I think like you, I enjoyed my time. There's ups and downs, obviously, but it was a different time then. It was a different time, a different world. And if I could go through it again, I'd probably do it and enjoy it even more. Because, second time round, you'd make even more use of your knowledge and your experience.
So what year did you actually come out of the Air Force? Frank, were you when you came out as well? If you don't mind me asking.
So I was JT when I came out. I'd just been to the Falklands, and they wanted to promote me. I decided I didn't want a promotion. I wanted to go and do something else. Now I ran the whole of the Falklands IT when I was for 4 months. I was down there. So I had, 3.5, 4 years of extremely good experience. I left the forces, and I think a few people think people leave thinking they know everything. I left thinking I knew nothing. And I was surprised that, I wasn't that bad. So I wasn't useless. And I went into work for a company called Admiral in 2001. So they gave me an exam as part of the interview process. I scored the highest mark in the UK. They didn't ask me any technical questions because they thought they couldn't. I was extremely lucky because the exam was on what was called at the time Windows 2000, and the 3 months up to doing that exam, for the interview, I'd spent just building a brand new Windows 2000 system. So when all the screens come up and the answers and questions and answers were required, I was like, oh, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one. So there's a little bit of luck in there as well, right? So I can't claim
Well, you need a bit of lucky business, don't we? Let's be honest about it. So,
yeah.
so how long were you at Admiral for? Is that Admiral Insurance?
No, Admiral Computing, they sold to a company called CMG. Now, CMG and a company called Logica used to own the rights to all the SMS messaging in the world. So they made a lot of money through that. They merged to become Logica CMG, eventually become CGI. So I worked for them for 14 years. So I seem to do everything in sevens or 14s at the moment. That seems to work quite well. And so effectively, I left there after 14 years to decide to go out on my own. So actually, I did 2 years as an independent type contractor before I started Infrastar. And Infrastar was born out of a need for people with infrastructure skills working around the large type computer systems. And we knew a few clients that we could try and work with. And just started there really and started to grow. And one of my skills is knowing people and building networks of people and links. And I love technology. I love looking into the future and trying to understand what will be there and things that will happen. I mean, I remember doing my O levels at 28 because I felt I needed to do them before I left the Air Force. So I did my maths and English and managed to get, I think, an A and a B in those. But I also did an AO paper, and it was the question was, and it was write an essay on what is the best invention in the 20th century, and I said the microchip. And then I went on to describe things like the ring cameras and somebody who's disabled sitting watching the TV, being able to push a button and answer the door, and all these amazing things that have happened now. I probably should have painted it a couple on the way up. So, but my mother-in-law was disabled, and I was always thinking of things to help her and give people a better chance of making their lives easier, really. And I think that's what technology does, and that's what I like about it. There's a lot of things that technology brings that aren't good, but really, if we can look at the positives, and that's a positive of anything, then that's great, you know.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, the thing about your kind of business as well, it's quite cutthroat, isn't it? There's lots of other companies, but you seem to be in a sort of special niche area.
So a lot of people, like doing software and things like that. We started doing that type of stuff, but infrastructure and hardware, if you do it right and you get the right links and work with the right people, and make things quicker and better, then it's good. Yeah, you've business is hard, right? And you've got to stand out, and you've got to stand out in front of many different people. And I think as a small company, we do that, and we do it quite well. We make, um, you know, we make partnerships with people, and we work with them well, and they enjoy working with us. I smile every day about when I look at the people around the office and see the work they're doing and how hard they're working. It's great. It's a privilege to work with some of these people.
It's funny you should say that. I feel exactly the same. I think many of us in business do that as well. But let's go back to the very beginning, if that's okay. Because when you first started, did you go with were you with a business partner, or did you have some money in the bank? How did it actually get going? You had a few contacts. Was that the way it started?
Yeah, mainly around contacts. There's a company I was working with that helped us out with a little bit of money, things like that, because cash flow is always difficult in business. And the contracts came in, and we started to get asked for more people and for doing additional things, and it just grew from there, really. And like you say, a little bit of good reputation, a bit of luck, and things like that. We've just finished some work for a customer in Bristol where they needed some staff for about 4 months, and we were able to provide them over Christmas and New Year up until the April period. And that came out of a little discussion actually at a rugby match for the armed forces that enabled us to get a little bit of work when we didn't think it would come. And it was very timely for us, because we work in the industry around uh, MOD and that type of work. So sometimes it's hard to get the clearances and things like that that are required, and we just have to, wait for those to come. So then you have to get busy with other aspects of the work. We do a lot of charity work as well. So you know, with growing the business and increasing the turnover, we try to, you know, provide some money back into the community, you know, back into the world, really, and make people's lives easier and happier. And I think a lot of people enjoy doing that. I mean, a lot of the staff we've got enjoy it. We have some alpacas down in Cornwall. So three alpacas, two New Zealand sheep and a shed we got for a charity. We've been doing some work in Cheltenham with the No Child Left Behind. That's something that's really, close to our hearts. I know it's to yours as well. So that's how I think we first met, Mark. you know.
Do that. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And thank you for your sponsorship for that. It's
Oh,
been a great part.
I love it, and I think for me, uh, I grew up in the 70s. Wasn't the easiest of times. Left home at 16, Um, it was difficult, and we, we were never really poor as a family, but we weren't rich. We struggled like everybody else in those days. And with the No Child Left Behind stuff, I've started to realise that things haven't changed that much. And there's a lot of more underprivileged people in this world. And I think, Cheltenham for me and Gloucester, there's a lot more to do and a lot more people in the community can do. One thing that threw me completely at Christmas, and we took some presents to two schools in Cheltenham, and I asked teachers, just said to them, so what are the children asking for this year? And I was thinking, yeah, it's going to be Barbie, it's going to be Action Man, it's going to be mobile phones. And the real answer was blankets to keep warm.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's what it's like.
me and Hannah, who was with me, my sales director, both actually burst into tears almost, and that whatever we can do to help in those, in that way is great, And I think No Child Left Behind is a great charity.
Without a shadow of doubt, it does do great work. Let's go back to the sort of business side of things. What would you say has been the biggest mistake you made in business?
Um, Not running my own company earlier. I think, but then I would counteract that with, would I have ever been as knowledgeable and potentially capable of doing it at an earlier point? I'd hope I would have been, but I do think it's worked quite well, you know, and yeah, I definitely think running a business myself earlier would have been um, a better thing for me potentially. I don't say it's a bit difficult to define.
So what about the people that work with you? It must be difficult to find the right people. How do you go about doing that?
Now, first of all, with the first few, you've got to know them. And then you use the people that you know and use the people that they know. And eventually you run out. And so eventually you've run out of that. So you have to start to think quite hard about how you do it. So really, getting good recruitment companies in, getting to trust them, getting to know them, seeing how things go, and building relationships that way. It's really important. The people are everything to the business, and you've got to recruit a wide range of people as well. Don't just recruit people like you. Well, I can't really recruit anybody like me. I think I'm quite unusual, so you don't want too many people like me. But we've got a great cross range of people. It's amazing, and they come in, and you can see people wanting to grow and expand their knowledge and expand their capability. And sometimes you've got to slow people down. Some people, need a push in the right direction, and occasionally you end up with people that aren't the right fit for your business, and you have to let them go in whichever way that works. And that's part of business. It's part of life, really. It's part of learning and part of development.
Let's go back to the very beginning. So you're not from Gloucestershire, obviously. So where were you born,
I
Glenn?
haven't quite got the accent, have I? No, so I was born in the Midlands in Staffordshire. So a little place called Penkridge in 1970. It was snowing, by the way. My mum told me, she said it was snow when I was born. And I can remember looking out the window, in the first few hours. I think it's because
Yeah,
she
I'm
told
sure.
me I say that. Yeah, and I grew up, went to a school called St. Michael's, which was great. and then to a middle school when I was 9 years old, to I was 12, and then to Wolgarston High School from until I was 16. I did a hardest paper round in the world. I think before I say that, it wasn't Beirut, by the way. So before I did that, they had only ever got someone to do it for 3 months and everyone left. I did it for 3 years. And why I say that, it's not a great achievement, but the achievement was I was fit as a fiddle. It was 6 miles every night. It was 30 papers. You could do it in 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes. And it was the springboard to joining the Air Force and staying fit, really, as a young lad. So I enjoyed that. And at 16 years old, 16 and a half when I just over joining the Air Force after having meningitis and almost dying, that paper round and that fitness side of things got me into the Air Force, which was amazing. And
Just
you know,
even then, Glenn, 16 and a half is pretty young.
yeah, yeah,
As an air cadet, I mean, I joined when I was 18, and I was pretty green between the ears, let's be honest about it, as we all were at that sort of age. But 16 and a half is very young, really. And obviously, you didn't get any qualifications at all.
no. No, it
Well,
was a,
well,
it was a hard slog. It was a hard slog, Mark, and it's well worth it. I'm glad, I started at the bottom. I started as a mech. I went on to do the technical courses. I strive to learn more all the time. I did Open University. I did my O levels to get just to prove I could get them. Really, you know. I did well on all the technical courses in the Air Force. I used to love radar. I used to love the comms stuff. I did the satellite courses, things like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm in the Air Force. I must have spent 4 years training out of 14 years. So, their commitment to the people was amazing, really, because you don't get that anymore. And, you know, even down to soldiering and things like that, nobody gets taught those skills anymore. And it's a lost, if things do go bad in this world, then they might need people with skills like that again.
I mean, that's the thing about it, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you know, but I did economics. So I left school with six O levels, one in chemistry and physics and stuff. But I did an O level in economics and business studies, a typing course, a writers' bureau course, photography course. Anything to get myself out of catering. So I was trying to position myself. And you were right. The Air Force were really, they paid for everything really,
Yeah,
apart from the writers' bureau, of course, my computer. But they were great at that, weren't they?
yeah,
You know,
brilliant. And
and the other thing I always think about the forces was that and I think you've said about it earlier is that you do have to learn to make friends. You have to learn to get on with people because you're in the middle of a bondu somewhere
yeah,
with a few guys that you don't really know, and you just got to make it work, don't you?
yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. It's you're always put into difficult situations, and you have to talk your way out of them. I mean, I had some great times. They even let me um, do a legal race from Cape Tarifa Citadel in Nordkap to in sorry in Cape Tarifa Citadel in southernly points in Spain up to Nordkap in Norway, 3,800 miles in 1994. And we spent probably about 6 months setting this up. It was a proper race. It was televised actually with Michaela Strachan and Daniela Westbrook. We were in the RAF team and we did it in, I think it was 69 hours. The Met Police won in 58 hours. And it was an adventure. It was great. And, that's the type of thing you'll never get in civilian life.
No.
Type of thing, obviously I went to the Falklands. That was interesting. I ran all the IT down there over the Millennium. Got off the aircraft. I was meant to be doing a HF 1140 course. I did the course in the 1140. I was meant to be doing looking after the aerials and that and the transmitters and that. And I got met by the boss there, and he said, "Oh, he said, I know, hey, you've got some qualifications in IT. You're now running all IT for the island." And I was like, "Great!" And that was good as well. yeah,
Was that
trying.
really difficult? Did you sort of just fit in and have to work things out? You know, you're there in
Oh
the
yeah,
foreign
yeah, yeah.
place in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you got to remember that, in '99, computers were reasonably new. You had factory MS systems and things like that. PCs had been around a while, but there were 286s, 386s, things like that. Windows 95 was just really coming to the end, and Windows NT and yeah, so 2000 was just about to come in. So it was a big dot-com boom, wasn't it? It's lots of people were getting into it, and I was just leaving the Air Force to follow that journey, and it all went bang at that point. But in the Falklands, it was good. It was an interesting place because at the time, and it's probably still as bad now. Everybody there, if you want to make a phone call, it's £1 a minute, and you saw some of the squaddies who were phoning the wives and the girlfriends and things like that, and they'd be given their wages in the army at the time, and they'd go through 20 or 30 quid that were given, and that was 30 minutes of a call, and then they'd wait until the next Friday. They obviously got the food for free, but they had nothing else to spend. So we set up in the WRVS, the Women's Voluntary Reserve Service office there, a load of computers all linked obviously to the internet, and people were able to use Yahoo Messenger and the like to get in contact with the family. They got 15 minutes slots, and I think they could book 2 or 3 at least a week. So it transformed the forces in the Falklands. And it
I mean, I
was
tell you what, you had a bloody good deal at £1 a minute. When I was in Ascension Islands, it was £5 a minute, and that was in
really, really.
1985. That was £5 a minute. I remember my dad. I remember phoning my dad. He just talked about the weather the whole time, and I said, "Dad, it's cost me £5 to find out it's sunny in Barry."
And this is
Bloody
the
nice.
thing. You talk about the forces and stuff like that, and civilians don't realise that's what goes on. A lot of people thought we never paid tax. I don't know if you ever come across,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But when I was in, we earned the type of money we earned in those days was people on benefits. It was just, that's how it was.
Well, and the quarters as well. I mean, well, it was very low paid. Used to say the hours are long and at least the pay's shit.
Yeah,
So, we were young then, and like you, I mean, I look back with fond memories
yeah, yeah, yeah.
of it,
We're in
and
it
it was
together,
good.
won't we? We're all
So,
in it
Glen,
together.
very quickly then, so you think they should bring back this army, bring back national service? We're running out of time, so I've got to ask you next
Oh,
three
wow.
big questions.
So,
But
should they bring back national service? Right. Okay. They should bring back. They should give us a proper defense force of whatever kind that is, and build it up to be as good as it used to be. I'm sure it's good now. I shouldn't be negative about it. I think we all need to be positive and support it. But if you're going to do something, do it properly. Do it how, maybe not how we did it, but maybe do it a new way and make it successful and make it something that everyone's proud of and something people want to join. Because if you
well,
don't, if you don't make it fun, you don't make it interesting, and you don't make it something that people want to go and do, you end up with what you've got potentially now. And you hear about all these horror stories about Capita and people like that not being able to recruit people. Now, there's an easy answer to that. Reinstate all of the forces recruitment centres, put the proper people in there that are part of the forces, because those are the ones that sell you the journey, sell you the life and everything else. We weren't necessarily told the whole truth, but still we enjoyed it, And I don't think I would change anything I've done, and stay true to yourself, really.
okay, well, we're kind of running out of time. Just very quickly. So, have you got any hobbies? Because you're obviously a very busy chap, 70 staff and all that sort of
Oh,
stuff. What's your
well,
main
anything
hobby?
to anything to do with motor racing that I can't really afford. So I do some sim racing. I absolutely love that. I raced in the RAF league, but it's actually the Armed Forces League, and I've raced with the RAF, and he's quite interesting because he's done what's something called iRacing, and people join from Canada, people join from America, people join from the Falklands, and yeah, I'm usually last, which so be it. I'm getting better slowly, but anything to do with cars, motorbikes, racing. I enjoy scuba diving, but I haven't done that for a while, and mountain biking in the Forest of Dean. I love that.
Yeah, no, Forest of Dean cycling is amazing as well, isn't it? Well, unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. I've got to ask you for your top three business tips, please, Glenn. So, what are they?
Really difficult for me, I think. I think just one tip, really. Number one is just keep up with the technology, keep things interesting, be curious about things.
Well, that's
Innovative,
what.
yeah, innovative type work. The other thing is surround yourself with people that are better than you. And, I always try to do that because you can't be good at everything. And if you've got people who are better than you, hopefully you've got the right blend, you've got the right answers. And I
Okay, that's
guess
two.
communicate. Communicate with everybody, build your networks, enjoy life, enjoy work, be good at what you do. And if you're not good at it, try to understand why and you know, ask people to be honest with you because you only succeed really doing things you're good at. And I think that's one of the most important things because think, doing things you're good at and, you know, um, yeah, things you're good at and just things you enjoy, you tend to do well. So that would be my recommendation, my three tips.
Then, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today. Glenn Griffin from Infrastar, sponsored by Infrastar as well. Thanks ever so much for talking to Punchline Talks, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks
Been
very much.
wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye bye.
All right, if you like the show, please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.